Yo, what is up, my motherfucking fiends? We got what you wanted, what you asked for. Hippity hoppity up in this fucking rabbit lair. Biatch! Ignore these numbers. Anyway, yeah, so it's Lair Darkness Synchro. It is a Lair Darkness deck. It's not a straight up Bisteel deck. I made some adjustments from before since we got Bisteel at 3. Druid Swarm at 3. You don't need to run 3, but let's just get to the hand traps, right? Maxi, obvious. Gamma, pretty straightforward, right, for a negate, but it's also really good with Hop Your Squadron. And let's see, what else do we have for hand traps? Yeah, Rescue Ace Impulse. We're able to tribute it when a monster effect is activated on the field. So, think of it could be this Arma, for example, but it could be like a Kashtira card, right, that's on the field. It could be a Yubel, their Lotus that tributes on the field. You could chain it to this since it activates its effect on the field. Anything you could think of, Centurion, etc. It's really good into this meta. But you chain it and it special summons this Rescue Ace Fire Attacker from the deck, only from the deck. So if you have this in the hand, when this is special summon, when your opponent adds a card to their hand, you're able to draw 2 and discard 1, which is really, really good with this deck. And it's another level 6 along with our Bisteel package. So pretty much most of this deck is like, oh my god, it's hand traps, and then here's Effect Failure. And Effect Failure is very straightforward, right? It's better than Imperm because we might have cards on our side of the field, so we might not always be able to activate Imperm. And Effect Failure it's pretty good into this meta, but it also turns on all of our Bisteels. So that's why I'm specifically having, if I could get through my fucking stroke, hand traps that are light or dark, so we could chain Bisteel to them in case they have a call by, right? That's a cool, neat little interaction. But just being able to special summon out a Bisteel, pretty much it kind of all revolves around our little Hop Your Squadron here. So during the main phase, you could target one face-up monster you control, special summon this card from your hand, immediately Synchro Summon. So it's deadly because we go into Excel Stardust Synchro Dragon, which then revives a level 2 from the grave, and then we could use its effect, tribute it, bring out a regular Stardust Dragon, and Synchro into a level 10, or not necessarily level 10, but using this thing, right? So it's going to be level 10 most of the time. It could be any of these level 10 packages that we have here, from Baron de Fleur is pretty straightforward, usually a number 1 that you guys saw in the last video. Chaining is awesome with Bisteels because we get a free 2 banish. Chaos Angel could come up sometimes. And then the 2 tech cards were Satellite Warrior and Ruddy Rose Dragon. So I'll show some clips of that in a second. Let me just get right into showing you what the little combo lines look like. Okay, so here's a good example of a game where we'll be able to use Hop Your Squadron very, very shortly. We're going against some type of, Ad Ignister, fucking Cybers, Mathmech pile, annoying bullshit. I hate this shit. But anyway, so here's why we did that. We hop-eared and we synchroed into any level 6. It doesn't have to be a Bisteel, but any Bisteel does it. The Rescue Ace Fire Attacker, like I mentioned before, does it. Even Frame Driver does it. So we go into Excel Stardust Synchro, we revive the level 2, and then we're able to use Excel to quick effect. If they have called by, we just lose. But if this resolves, we win. So like I said, to bring out that Stardust Dragon, which is why we have that in that deck, into any of our level 10 Synchro plays that we have here. Baron's always a good option. Ruddy Rose is a funny tech. Satellite Warrior was a new tech that I started trying out that you guys might not have seen in the last video. This card fucks, by the way. I also make a misplay here. So when Excel Stardust Synchro is special summoned, or excuse me, when it applies its effect to Synchro, whatever Synchro with it pretty much becomes a Towers. So the Imperm wasn't going to do anything. I was unaffected. But I fucking forgot about my own cards, so I chained an Econ anyway to make sure I was fine. I didn't need to do that at all. This guy would have stayed on the field, and I would have popped 2. So, yeah. But essentially, that's what happens. Satellite Warrior lets you pop 1 for each Stardust or like whatever related card. So you're always going to pop 2 based off of Hoppier Synchron here. So, and then now we get to see why the Bisteel package is really fucking good in this deck, right? It's great into this meta. I mean, I'm not playing against meta right now, but Regain goes hard in this deck, especially with 3 Druid Swarm now, and we only run 1 Lubellion because we want to play it on turn 0. The whole point of this deck is to go second and play on our opponent's turn. If you want to see more examples of just the annoyance of that, we could look at the last video of this deck, and you'll see that very, very clearly. Anyway, this guy's about to get fucking owned. Uh, I'm being very, very patient with my my bestial effect here, because my Baldric effect, I could tribute a Lair Dark monster and then banish a extra deck type of card usually, but it doesn't have to be from the extra deck. So I could totally do it on the revive of something, like right here. Boom, tribute Druis Worm, banish this one. Goodbye, Druis Worm effect, send that. Goodbye, GG. So you kind of see a little bit of that bestial package. It's great into Ubel, it fucking cleans house against Ubel. And great against Centurion. It's decent against Snake Eyes. It hits, you know, what did we hit? We hit Link Karibo and then IP Masquerena. Usually that does a lot of damage to them. So now we are back with all the hand traps pretty much explained. The synchro line and combo line, the simple one, pretty much explained. So what else that we're missing from here is, well, this is Lair of Darkness, and you are right. We have 3 Arima and 3 Lair of Darkness. Lair of Darkness, we'll start with this in case you're unfamiliar. You're able to tribute one of your opponent's face-up monsters for cost. Makes everything on the field dark. So there's a lot of cool little synergies there. So the classic one people know is Lilith because of the structure deck back in 2018, but a lot of people know about Econ. This is something I finally teched into this deck. So you could essentially, if I had Lair up like in that last replay, I would have just been able to tribute my opponent's monster for cost and take one of their cards. So usually you need 2 monsters on your opponent's field to be able to get that tribute for cost effect, but it also helps you dodge Imperm. As you could see, other that I tried to do, I would have dodged an Imperm anyway, even though I was unaffected like a fucking noob. But it's a pretty good card. It's a quick play, so it's just really, really fucking solid. And then Arima searches out Lair. You discard it, grabs Lair. When it's normal summon on the field, it also has a tribute for cost effect to add a dark monster with 2,000 more defense from your deck to your hand. That could be any bestial, actually. That could be any bestial or the classic Darkest Diablos, Lord of the Lair. So the boss monster of our deck. When a dark monster tribute on your field, it special summons itself, and it also has a tribute for cost effect to hand loop your opponent. And it could trigger off of Lubellion. After you tribute a Bestial for Lubellion, and you have this guy in hand or grave, it bring it out. So it's great discard fodder for Super Poly. But before we get to that, there's also Stardust Synchron, which is kind of what also glues this deck together as a synchro deck, because this also has a tribute for cost here from hand or graveyard. So a lot of people don't see this coming. If they don't know what's in your hand, or sometimes they don't always read that it's in your grave, you could straight up tribute one of their monsters for this, but then you're synchro locked, which usually isn't an issue, with the one exception with Super Poly. And before we get to that, last but not least is Kaiser Glider for the monster lineup. Another quick effect tribute for cost on either player's turn, and you can use it from your hand. So arguably it's probably the best quick effect tribute for cost in the game for us, besides Econ. And it's really, really good with this deck because it's another level 6. So again, it synergizes with Hoppier Synchron to go into our little combos. It's also a light, so when we have a level 4 with Stardust Synchron or Arima, we could go into a Chaos Angel and have it unaffected. And sometimes we get both effects if we use a Dark level 4. So I was talking about Super Poly a lot because we have a lot of discard fodder here that we have in this deck. And the deck isn't like super bricky because we're playing on turn 1 and we have a lot of deep draw searches right between the Rescue Ace and Max C, etc. But it's really good for board breaking, although it's kind of iffy on the meta, so that's why I only have a select few of Super Poly targets. Super Poly is goated with Lair Darkness up, right? Because you could straight up just use 3 other monsters. It doesn't matter. And as long as they're face up, obviously. And you get to go into Predaplant Triffy Overtum. So this is a classic Predaplant card, but a classic Super Poly target, especially with Lair up. It usually wins you the game on the fucking spot. Again, please check out the last video I had with this deck. You'll see a lot of replays with me super polying my opponent for their life's fucking saving. Mud Dragon's pretty straightforward. Garua's another target. Starving Venom's going to be really common. And you could run 2 of this or 2 Garura because they're probably going to be your most common Super Poly targets. I was testing out this Ace Spade speculation because there are times where you might brick on a hand trap, so you might want to set that and then activate a Super Poly, and you could use your own set card and one of your opponent's monsters with 2,500 or more attack, which is pretty consistent and pretty obvious, or pretty it could happen, right? So we don't if you don't like this card, if you don't want to spend the UR, whatever, I pulled it. Just run another Starving Venom, or Mud Dragon if you want to save on the dust. This deck can be very expensive. We also, for our spell lineup, right, we have to talk about Guardian Chimera, because that is why we have Polymerization. We have so many monsters in our deck that it could be another way to draw more cards, because we could easily have one monster in the field, two monsters in the hand, right? We pop one, draw two, essentially. You pop and draw based off of the number that you use for the field or on the hand. So if you have two monsters in the field, you get the pop two. If you have two monsters in the hand, you get the draw two, essentially. So they never see it coming, like, ever. It's also level 9, so if you ever normal summon Effect Veiler, you can go into your Synchro 10s. It's really fucking funny. So Harpy's Feather Duster, pretty straightforward, nice board breaker. We cover Super Poly, Econ, Branded Regain, that kind of goes with Lubellion, right, for that grind game. In case our opponent is able to survive through turn 0, we could kind of pick them off. That's kind of the philosophy behind this deck. We could pick off our opponent very easily between these cards right here and any of our Tribute for costs, especially with Lair up. And we have one copy of Tuning. You don't need this. Everybody keeps asking me, oh my god, I can't afford. You don't fucking need Tuning. You could run just these 2, or if you really want to see Stardust Synchron, you could run 3. It's fine. You don't need Tuning. But opponents usually panic and they activate hand traps in response to that. So it's nice to bait out a lot of hand traps. So back to our Synchro lineup, we covered the essential combo here. And then you guys got to see Satellite Warrior kind of pop 2, essentially whenever it's summoned through our combo line. And is unaffected. Again, everything's unaffected. Ruddy Roach Dragon banishes everything from the graves. I'll show one little quick replay with that in action. Barone is your standard. If you don't know what Barone does, I don't fucking know. Chaos Angel, you banish one when it comes out. It could also be kind of like a pseudo Taurus for monster effects if it's made with a light material, and monsters you control can't be destroyed by battle. If you use dark material, which is always going to happen. It's very rare where we just have 2 light, and even then you might have Layer Darkness up, so it's interesting. It uses original attribute. And then Typhon is pretty straightforward. And then Link 2 is Predaplant for Anaconda, because again, we have Super Poly, so we could, it's a last-ditch effort, and just Link 2 to get material off the field. If we steal something with Econ, right, this is here. You could also run Beat Cop, let's see, of the Underworld. So this is another one. You could potentially take this one out, or Ruddy Rose. You don't need all of these options. Honestly, between Satellite, Barone, Chening, and Chaos Angel, you're like fine. So you could take out this Ruddy Rose, since Chening is more often to happen, right, with the banishing effect of even Cyframe. Gear Gamma on the end phase, or Bystials. There's Beat Cop here. So we're able to tribute our opponent's monster for effect using 2 link material, which could come up, honestly. So if you guys want to run this, please go ahead. And then let's take us out with some replays. I guess additional replays. I'm trying to keep this video short. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, because I got to make sure to say that. So motherfuckers, do it. It's a lot of effort, kicking ass. And again, I got Master before with this deck last season, so that's kind of what this is. It's the same meta. It's probably going to be the same meta for the next 6 fucking years. So Bystials are always going to be useful, and Druid Swarms at 3. Oh, I have double fucking rolls, by the way. Get fucked. All right, so we're going to get Sky Striker, maxi them into Gamma. This is why we run these hand traps. We pretty much just end their turn. Normally, that's not too bad of a bummer to banish them if we have Hoppier, but we didn't, or a Bystial, something. Anyway, we have Arima, so now we're able to get into Layer Darkness, as you guys saw, and we set a Super Poly. Our board looks very unassuming, but if this was a Sky Striker, if this is any other deck, as soon as they had 2 to 3 monsters, Super Poly them for their life's fucking savings, and that would swing the deck, or the game back in our favor. So we have a Hoppier, and we're able to normal summon Arima, so I'm going to start chipping away. Essentially, if we're able to negate an effect or something on the field, they're going to start bringing out. I figured, oh man, if these guys are down bad, right? My opponent's down bad if they're trying to link and use my fucking maxi for that. So here's an option where I absolutely super poly them for the life savings with just the 2 of Starving Venom. Starving Venom can't use tokens, but Triffy Overtum can. So here's the fun. I was like, fuck it. I want to play. I don't climb into the normal combo, but I do go into Barone to kind of control the game state, etc. It's really deadly, right? Because now I could just start popping stuff, negate that, Now they have a call by, so we pretty much cleared all their background. We know everything that's going on with our opponent besides the one card in hand. Tuning, send one to grave, hop here, whatever, it's fine. We could just normal the Stardust Synchron into hard XL Stardust Synchro. So now you see again the combo, revive a Gamma. Again, it can revive a Gamma, so it's very. That's also why Gamma's really, really good in our deck. Into the Ready Rose, like I promised you guys, which is great against Sky Striker because they need those spells in grave. Shenging would have been better, and I might have been able to kill with Shenging, doing the math. But this was funny. I was 100 off, and I was like, fuck it. Let's see what you got, bucko. So, yeah, they didn't really have anything. I figured I was going to get the clap back. Again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll take us out with one more fucking cheesy-ass replay against... Ubel, but at least you got to see the Ready Rose here. Again, you don't need this. This is like the only instance where this really pops off, or against Tyr, obviously, and Ubel. But usually your Bystials and Chenning are going to take care of Ubel. Here's a funny game where we just kind of quickly effect fail our opponent's little Samsara Lotus there, and they go right into their Link, and now we have an effect failure in grave for our own Bystials in case we need it. They're sick with the call by for the rest case, so you're not going to see that in this game. But here's the second effect failure for their Unchained, so shut them off for pretty much most of their deck. And I just go straight with the Bystials. Boom. Boom. Realistically, I should have took out both Ubels, so they couldn't fusion at all, but I call their bluff. And Magnamoot brings back out Lubellion. Lubellion's just, again, it's good at 1. I don't think you need 3 if you're playing on turn 0. But if you want to play a more control-oriented style, play 2, right, obviously. Bring out the Ball Drake. Bring back the Lubellion. Send this guy to grave. It's not destroyed, so it doesn't trigger. There's another hand trap for us. That's fine. Can you do the math? Do you see this card? Oh my god, that's exact 8 fucking thousand. And my opponent's so salty they don't even let me kill them with Maxi. Please ban Maxi. At the time of this recording, OCG just put it to 2. So again, that was a nice goofy little one. Hopefully that answered all your questions. Please feel free to leave all your questions, comments, concern about this deck. Is it really that good? Yes, I hit Master 5. Could it hit Master 1? Yes, I just literally don't have the time to do that. The meta is more or less stagnant and stale and the same. So I think there's going to be little changes and this deck will still be viable. I prefer playing this over the Lilith control version. So if you don't like that, I don't know, fucking like, comment, subscribe, leave me hate mail. I don't give a fuck. Stay Phenom, motherfuckers.